All right. Welcome back to another Dinks and Disney podcast episode. This is episode 2 of how to eat whatever you want at Disney World or Disneyland and still reach those fitness goals. Uh, Today, my guest is Jennifer. She's also a member of the Magical Transformations group, which is why we got kind of both signs back up here behind me. Sooner or later, we'll get the batteries for the remotes to dim them a little bit so they don't look so blurred. But for now, hopefully you can make out that those are the two logos. Anyway, Jennifer, I'm gonna kind of give it to you, and so you can tell them where you're from, what your goal is, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. I'm from Los Angeles, California, so my home park is Disneyland, and I love it. Um, I really want to just get healthier, lose some weight, but also just in general make healthier life choices.
Okay, awesome. And can you give us a little more backstory in terms of where have you been, what have you tried, that type of stuff?
Yeah. I used to run pretty regularly. I used to do like half marathons like every other month. And then I went to grad school a few years ago and that completely ruined my schedule. So
Mm.
I fell off really, really, really hard. And since falling off that, it's just been like a downward spiral. I also suspect I have PCOS, so that might be some part of the reason why I'm holding on to a lot of the weight still. But since then, I've also been trying to like diet and exercise and tried all kinds of diets, tried all kinds of exercises. I tried CrossFit at one point in time. And it's also just when I get busy, I just stop doing everything except for the bare necessities. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
And how long has that been for?
Uh, Unfortunately, about a decade.
Okay. No, no. I think a lot of people find themselves in the exact same boat, and
Yeah.
they try a lot of this stuff like CrossFit, and like I've done CrossFit for many years. So has my
Mhm.
wife, and my wife actually has PCOS. For any of you listening, or maybe for you, Jennifer, we do have a podcast episode all around like her PCOS journey, um, because it's different for everybody, especially when how like doctors respond to those diagnoses and helping you get the a hormonal treatment you need for it. Uh, I won't go into that too much here, just because that's a little bit beyond the scope of like my expertise.
Mhm.
But we've had a lot of experience with that, and a lot of group members have also been diagnosed with PCOS. Uh, anyway, so for you in particular, though, what's been the hardest part about getting into a program that you feel like is sustainable for you?
I think just the motivation behind it and like something that keeps me coming back. I think this is actually the thing that I've been coming back to because it tailors into my love of Disney.
Yeah,
So thank you for that. Like that's been a big motivation to me. And like even just opening up the group app and seeing people not talk about fitness, but just talk about Disney, I'm like, oh great, we can have a break from talking about fitness because I'm tired of that right now. So it's been good.
trust me, I get tired of talking about fitness too. Like I selfishly almost created the Magical Transformations group because fitness itself, like I've been in it a long time, and like fitness gets boring. Like it's pretty similar stuff. Talk a lot about the same stuff, but to talk about Disney and take a break from that is much better.
Yeah.
And so, uh, okay, so we like to cover this kind of by like fitness, nutrition, mindset, kind of in different pillars. But fitness wise, let's start there. So, what does fitness currently look like for you, and then what did it look like before the group?
Well, I can tell you before the group, I didn't prioritize like working out at the gym. I didn't, if I didn't have time for it, I wouldn't do it. But currently, because of the 12-week challenge, I've realized that I do have time for the gym. I do have time to go 3 times a week at least. Sometimes I even have time for 4 times a week. It's just a little bit of like what motivates me, like I'm so tired. Am I motivated to actually get out there and go? And I think this challenge has really helped me do that. So like before the challenge, I would go maybe once a week, if that, like there were points where like I wouldn't go for 2 weeks straight just because I was so burnt after work. I was just like, I'm just gonna crack open a bottle of wine and sit on the couch.
Yeah, that does sound more fun most of the time, you know?
Yeah,
But it's all a payoff thing, right? Like, I mean, yes, like, that is more fun in the evening, but then you always have to weigh it against, like, will it make me feel better than, getting healthy, reaching my goals? Like, well, will it make me feel better than that?
right.
Uh, if it will, then yeah, maybe like maybe the goal in front of you is not either is either not a big enough goal that you want to chase it, or maybe it's maybe just not something you want to prioritize. But it's always good to weigh those choices and see which one you would rather have in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
Uh, but before the group, you said it just wasn't much.
yeah. It was once a week, if that. Um, and I really had no idea what I was doing at the gym. I had worked with personal trainers before, so like I would like look through like my previous workouts with them and try to do one, and but there just was no motivation.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like you don't always need to know like exactly all the science behind like what you're doing, but like also it helps to see a plan. It helps to see
Yeah.
that you like somebody put thought into like what you're doing, and also just other people are also doing it. That's something that like we offer one-on-one coaching, and the reason we don't like broadcast it a ton, especially in the group, is because sometimes people just do better knowing that they're doing something that other people are doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you can compare notes. You can be like, "Oh my gosh, wasn't those squats so hard?" And like, "Oh man, whose legs are sore?" And then it becomes like a camaraderie thing instead of like getting a workout from a trainer, which could be great. Like it could be a great workout, but no one else is doing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not Disney theme.
I've enjoyed finding out how much people dislike push-ups as much as I do.
Yeah. You can find camaraderie in the good things and in hatred. You can find so much, maybe more camaraderie in the hatred.
Yes.
Uh, so one thing I do like to have happen on these calls is not just to talk about fitness in like a general sense, but to make sure that you have good adjustments for the fitness that you need to do. So, what's something fitness wise that you feel like you're either struggling with or just want to do better?
Um, I definitely push-ups. They are very hard for me. I cannot get off of push-ups off my knees. That's just not happening. I don't know what it is. Like I think this goes back to like a bigger problem. Like I have no upper body strength at all. Like the leg workouts that we do every week, like I can do those no problem. I don't break a sweat. Sometimes I'll add like an extra set in if like I feel like I have the energy for it. But like the upper body workouts, man, those like kill me. And like
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Have you ever had very good upper body strength?
I don't think so. No. Like I used to run a lot. I used to play soccer a lot. I did taekwondo, so like you know, I think I have a lot of leg strength. Do not have upper body strength.
Okay. Yeah, so that is pretty common from people that a lot of times we don't even take into account like our first 15 years of life and like
Mhm.
everything we did in those points. Like there's a reason that people that come up through like gymnastics tend to just be able to do a lot of things. Like they move their bodies in such a way with like so much lower body power, so much upper body strength that it tends to be pretty applicable to most things. And
Mm.
then that like even girls that are gymnasts and stop at 15 or whatever, like they tend to just have more muscular upper bodies, or they tend to just be better at upper body strength and power. And so when you only play soccer for like a good portion of your life, like stands to reason that upper body strength just wasn't a priority. And
Yeah.
so what we need to do now with upper body strength, especially because I feel like a lot of times for females especially, they deal with this like lack of upper body strength because it's pretty, I would say it's pretty niche for a sport, especially for girls, for their coaches to emphasize upper body strength. I mean, maybe volleyball, but not really. Like that's more of just like jumping still.
It was I also played volleyball in high school. It was a lot of legs too.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And you hear that a lot even from, like, softball players, and don't get me wrong, like, yes, a good portion of the strength and power in your body is gonna come from your legs and your hips, but when you get older, it's more about, like, wanting your upper body to look good and look toned and feel strong, and when you didn't do that for 20 years, or for some people even longer, I mean, yeah, it stands to
Yeah.
reason that it's pretty hard to build. We're starting at, not 0, but starting low. So, uh the thing I want you to keep in mind with this, and this would be for anyone, trying to build upper body strength, is you're going to hear a lot of conflicting things. And I want to narrow it down to like two principles that everyone should be doing when it comes to, trying to tone and build lean muscle in their upper body. And one is going to be time under tension. So it's going to be like really slowing down the tempos of a movement you're doing, and two, hitting full range of motion. So like actually feeling a stretch through the muscle, uh, and not stopping halfway. So there are going to be people in the gym that are looking to do what's called partial reps, and that's basically like if you're bench pressing or something, it's like going like halfway up and down, but like never actually touching your chest and then extending your arms all the way up. And you can move more weight that way, but through a lot of research, we've seen that you don't actually build more muscle that way. And so the same thing goes for like toning and building muscle. It's the same thing. It's a synonym, but marketing wise, like people just use it differently. So you'll hear me use both terms, but I mean the same thing. My brain's just conditioned to like sometimes say toning because again, it sounds better than, but some people don't want to build muscle. They want to tone, but like it's the same thing. Sorry, that was a side note. Anyway, uh, so what the thing that anyone can start doing is you don't need to push the weight to something that either you're not comfortable with or to a maximal load. You can lift at 70% of your max effort or 80% of your max effort and just slow it down. So like if you're going to do a bench press, as you come down towards your chest, you count 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and then it touches your chest and push it back up. We see the most amount of muscle building through the lowering phase of a movement.
Okay.
So that's just like this really easy thing. You don't need to change your workout. You don't need to change anything. All you need to do differently is just start lowering it slower.
Okay.
And we can actually get more muscle built per rep than doing almost anything else. So that's a really easy one. And then the stretch, obviously, like I said. So the stretch is going to be to a natural range of motion. Obviously, don't hyperextend your knee, your elbow, your shoulder. Like I feel like I need to say that, but obviously don't do that. And so, but like if I'm going to do a bicep curl, it's like the difference in getting my elbow to like this little bent point and then getting it all the way fully extended, right? So fully extended is full range of motion. That's going to be not full range of motion, but you'll see a lot of gym bros go on those partial reps because it looks cooler when you wink at a girl because you got 2 or 3 45 plates on each side, even though you're not moving them, even though you're not moving it near the distance you need to actually build muscle efficiently. But I would say those two are probably the easiest ones you can implement like tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean with both
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah. I just realized I've been doing those upper body workouts wrong the past 10 weeks. That's okay.
But that's okay. That's why we do these calls. That's why we're talking right now so that other people could also hopefully not hopefully not take advantage of those things as
Yeah.
well for 10 weeks or whatever it's been for them.
Because I have like no upper body strength, I've been just like, let's get through this movement as fast as I can. Let's just get through this workout.
Yeah.
So now I know for the next 2 weeks and the future challenges.
But no, that's 100% what people do. It's, as fast as you can, as heavy as you can. When in reality, the real gains are in those seconds. Those like that time that muscle spends under tension is where all of the real gains really are.
Yeah. such
And
a really painful spot to be in, but
yeah, exactly.
I guess it's supposed to, like, not, like, hurt unbearably, but it's supposed to be uncomfortable, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it is. And it's always really hard because that's another point that we tend to trying to think of the right word for this. We see a lot with a lot of new lifters. So like a lot of people that just get into strength training is like the difference between pain and injury because it's a line that you only learn by feeling like both essentially, which sucks. Like nobody wants to get hurt and
Yeah.
we don't want anyone to get hurt. And when you first start lifting, a lot of times people will stop a lot even though they're just really sore and they're not like they probably won't get hurt. It's probably not anything heavy enough for that, but it's an important distinction to find. And I'm not saying you should find it like early on because like you need to learn the skills and the form and the technique and everything. And
Mhm.
you probably shouldn't be going hard enough early on to like you can't get up like off the toilet for a couple days after like a leg day. You should probably ease into that a little bit more. Um, but yeah, it's an important distinction to find at some point, just so that you know when to push and when to back off.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that I struggle with is, like, especially for the leg days because they are, like, a little bit easier for me, like, how hard should I be pushing? Like, or, like, should I be pushing 100% every time I do a workout? Like, I don't know, I'm also just really worried about getting injured, like you said, like,
Hmm.
I don't wanna get injured, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In short, no, you shouldn't push every workout to 100%. And again, this is another one that gets difficult for social media purposes because hustle culture is such a big thing where it's like you should work out until you puke or pass out, or you should work on your business until you bleed from your eyes because it's that's what it takes to be successful. And in reality, a lot of times that comes from impatience, like that comes from like the speed aspect to results. And again, that's not just in fitness, it's business, it's life, it's everything. Like we want it now, we don't want it. Well, sorry, we say we don't want it in 5 years, but like we'd take it. Like in five
yeah,
years we would still take it,
right.
but I don't want it in 5 years, I want it today. And so logically the only thing we can deduct is that means we should push even harder. We should push harder right now so that I can get it right now. And a lot of times, like you just can't force your body to change. At least not sustainably for a long time. You can force it to change for like I don't know a little bit, but then you either burn out mentally, physically. Uh, Maybe you would get injured.
Yeah.
So practically, like for you, it would be more around like, hey, I'm gonna have a leg day this week. That's like if we're gonna work out, let's say 3 days, because that's what you're doing. I'm gonna have a leg day this week. That's pretty hard, like little bit harder. And then I'm gonna have an upper body day that's maybe a little bit harder. And then that third day, I'm gonna hit both muscle groups, but I'm not gonna push to like really, really maximum weights. And I may not push the cardio to like maximum intensity either, but I'm gonna be sure I get in there. I still feel, a burn when I do, my movements when I do my cardio, but I'm not crawling out of the gym. If you're always crawling out of the gym, it long term, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So I bet you bring up a good point. Like that's a very, very big problem that a lot of people have. And mostly because, again, like the hustle culture guys on Instagram and TikTok and everything are very much like exactly what I said. If you don't push until you bleed every time, like why are you doing it?
Yeah.
But anyway, fitness wise though, in terms of something you can change going forward, those would be the ones in terms of like the time under tension, and then being sure that you hit a full range of motion for each movement or each rep.
Sounds good.
Okay, nutrition. Let's talk about that.
Ooh, okay.
This is everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite one is nutrition. So in over the 10 weeks, over your time, what's been the biggest struggle, but also what's been your biggest win? Let's do both.
Um, I guess my biggest win is that I am more aware of my protein intake, and so I am actively making choices to add more protein to my diet when I can.
Perfect.
My I guess just in general, my weakest point with nutrition is just all of it. Yeah,
Okay.
just all of it.
All right.
Yeah,
Hey. Okay. So let's start at a couple. Let's start at our hierarchy of importance. Okay.
yeah,
So what I mean by that, and people who listen to this are going to hear me say this a lot. Like, if we're ever trying to make a choice or a decision, it really helps to operationalize what we need to prioritize first. And so I like to have a hierarchy of importance for most things. For nutrition, it's a very easy pyramid. So at the base, we got calories. If you eat 4,000 calories a day and still hit all of your micronutrients, like your vitamins and your minerals, you're still going to gain weight. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that's what will happen. And so if that is true, then calories have got to matter first. Then right above that, we got protein, and protein is going to be, what builds our muscle. Muscle is going to help us have a higher metabolism in the long run anyway, higher bone density, more energy. Like, I mean, it's all around. It's going to be our next thing. And then from there, we can start getting into ratios of like carbs and fat, micronutrients, quality food, meal timing, all of those things that, can make a certain percentage point difference, but not enough to like really not enough for it to be the first priority, let's say.
yeah,
And so, when we're helping you right now with your nutrition stuff, we need to follow the same pyramid. So, you're working on protein, which is great. The whole reason we prescribe protein a lot of time before we talk about calories is just because it's an easier thing to like comprehend in terms of like most people know what protein is in, like dairy products, meat, stuff like that, powders, and calories sometimes get solved anyway because high protein foods are typically not as dense in calories. I mean, really high fat red meat is, but not as high in calories overall. And then, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But the not as high in calories overall. And protein helps you stay a little bit more satiated,
yeah,
and so you tend to not be as hungry. So, is it a total calories issue for you then?
yeah. I would say so. I think it's also because like I hate cooking. I absolutely hate cooking. Like that is the agreement that my husband and I have. He cooks and I do all the cleaning.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know what goes into a meal. I really don't. Like I could see I know what like a drumstick looks like. I know what chicken thighs look like. I know what fish looks like and shrimp looks like. I know that. But then there's a tomato based sauce. I don't know measuring out like how many tomatoes went into the sauce and then dividing it by however many meals we get out of that batch cooked meal that we get each week is like sounds just exhausting to me. And
Yeah.
then of course it's not just tomatoes, there's garlic, there's onions, there's oil, there's salt, pepper, am I supposed to like measure out all of that? Like who has the time and the sanity to really do that? Honestly, how do people do that? Like that sounds like a separate like full-time job in and of itself.
Well, I one thing I will say is that if you break anything down into its like most fundamental parts, it's gonna sound exhausting. Like, if I talk about what I need to do to drive to the grocery store, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I gotta pick out all my clothes, I gotta put on my socks, I gotta put on my shoes, I gotta grab my keys, I gotta like maybe find my wallet, then I gotta like walk out of the house and it's really hot, and then I gotta get in the car and then turn the car on. And it's like if you break it down into like every single fundamental piece, it sounds exhausting. But then in reality, you're like, hey, we're just gonna throw this stuff in a pot and simmer it for a while, like it's just gonna.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing here is like, I don't think it's advice to look at you and be like, well, you should learn to cook because,
No.
yeah, that's not advice,
No.
right? Like,
Hard pass.
it, yeah, yeah. So advice here is gonna be, hey, this is who you are. So let's figure out a way to make this work. And so the easiest way for me has been to find some prepackaged meal options, and I don't mean from like a meal food service or anything. But we even found some from like Sam's and Costco and stuff like that where it's just a heat up. Like you heat it up and then it's ready to go, and it's like 30 grams of protein. Uh, Costco has one from Frankly Fresh, I think is the brand, and it's a Southwest chicken burrito bowl. It tastes so good. And this is coming from somebody who, if I got served one meal in hell, it would be reheated chicken. That would be 1,000,000%. I would never eat reheated chicken in my entire life. But this Southwest chicken burrito bowl is delicious. It's so good. I ate it for probably a year and a half before I started to get tired of it. And that gave me a lot of time to find other foods that I could eat before I got tired of it. Uh, but Sam's has a Italian herb chicken. It's like pre-made. It's not raw or anything. And I heat it up in a skillet. I still eat it for lunch right now. It's like 120 grams of brown rice, the chicken breast, and then I put hot sauce, a low calorie ranch that dressing that we found. I can't remember the brand. And then like 100 grams of cottage cheese in there. And the cottage cheese just takes on the flavor of the buffalo, so it just kind of like spreads it around a little bit. Uh, but yeah, that's super easy. It requires zero cooking skills at all. I microwave the rice. I literally just heat up a skillet and like sear the chicken on each side for
Yeah.
I don't know, a minute or something, and then I cut it up and put it in the bowl, and I'm good to go. So
So
a lot
my
of times it's
husband
more.
actually likes cooking for us though. Like that is his like love language is he wants to cook for us.
Mhm.
So like I have like approached him and been like, "What do you think of me getting my own meals?" And he's like, "No, no, no. Like I want to cook for you. I'll make things healthier." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he, you know what, like to his credit, he has started to make things healthier.
Yep.
But I also I don't sit in the kitchen watching what he's doing, so I don't like I know he's not making things unhealthy to like purposely like screw me over. Like why
Yeah.
would my husband do that obviously? But like I also don't know. And like what is his like version of healthier? Is it the same as my version of healthier? So that's like also another thing that like I'm running into, which is I know not a nutrition thing. It's like a I need to talk to my husband thing, but like
No, no, yeah, I get it. So we'll cover both because there's something that'll make it easier for him and you, and then there's also like the conversation part, right? But
yeah,
the in terms of the food part, when we have something that's a little bit more of like, I guess I'll use like a casserole sort of deal where it's like a bunch of stuff kind of all together. I do my best to track the highest calorie things and then kind of just let the rest be a wash.
so,
And so I don't do that all the time. Like in terms like normally we make like a meat, a carb, and then like we know what the sauce is and stuff like that. So it's not all the time that we're eating like a casserole sort of thing, but if I know like, hey, this has like a bunch of rice in it, and a bunch of, let's say, steak in it or something, I'll try to get my best roundabout guess for the rice and the steak. And then if there is another like high calorie thing like avocado or something. But if it's a bunch of vegetables, like, I mean, like even onions, garlic, lettuce, tomatoes, like I don't track any of that stuff.
okay.
Uh, I usually just try to assume that all that stuff would add up to like 100, 150 calories extra. And I might even be overshooting that depending on what it is. So that has worked for me, and it's made my sanity a whole lot better because I'm not trying to track every individual vegetable that goes into a casserole.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's one thing. Uh, but in the conversation side, it's coming more from like a lot of times the reason that conversation doesn't go as well, when either way, when a wife asks a husband or a husband asks a wife like for maybe help in this journey, is because a lot of times it's coming from like a, hey, this is my goal, so I need you to adjust for me, as opposed to like, hey, I'd love to have you on my team so that like I can do this, so we can do this together. Like I can do this because of you, not in spite of you. And I think sometimes from my years of like having people have this conversation, it usually comes out as like, hey, you're messing this up, but like I need you to change so that I can reach X goal. And so a lot of times it framing it more of like a, hey, you're like, I love the meals, I really appreciate it. Would you help me reach this whatever deal? by just knowing like roundabout how much rice is in here, how much chicken is in here, or whatever. So then it's like one step, but it's not asking him to be like, hey, I need you to make a completely separate dinner for me. Is that helpful, or is that, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I just need to have this conversation more.
yeah, I mean, I know, but it's
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish the fact that it is like, he's doing a nice thing by cooking, so like you
Yeah,
don't want
that's
to.
the other thing too. And like it is also like we have our very agreed upon like division of labor in our household that works for us. Like he cannot clean and I cannot cook. So we found the perfect way to like get around all of that. So yeah, that's just something that we need him and I need to figure out together.
Yeah, and I like to look at this stuff, just like I coach a lot of you guys on goals, and that usually looks something like one standard deviation away from where you are right now, not five standard deviations. So instead, like, so he's cooking for you right now, and you just go like, hey, can you just roundabout let me know how much meat's in here? And that's it. Like, you don't have to, nothing else. Like, you don't have to ask for anything else. And then, obviously, as that gets pretty consistent, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm tracking my chicken or my steak or whatever. In a month or something, you can go back and be like, hey, like, I really appreciate the chicken and the steak. Like, maybe, could you let me know how much rice is in here? And it's like having just a little standard deviation away from where you are right now probably won't even feel like that, like really a change at all. It won't feel any different. It'll just be, it would be a whole lot better than going to him today and being like, hey, I need you to start tracking all the vegetables, all the chicken, all the sauce, all the rice, and writing it out for me on an Excel spreadsheet so that I can put it in my tracking app. And he's like, cool. So that's a whole new job.
Yeah. Like I don't even want to do that. What makes me why would he want to do that?
Yeah, for sure. It it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing in a marriage, in a business, when you have people that you're trying to work with, a partnership or any partnership really, and you want everyone to feel like they're contributing to the win, and you want everyone to feel like we're all working towards the same goal, and we are only going to get there together,
Yeah.
not in spite of each other.
Yeah.
But nutrition wise, again, like actionable thing that you can kind of take into the next few months, or the next few weeks or whatever, is going to be focusing kind of more in on the calories themselves and not just adding the protein, right? And so whether that's having the conversation with your husband and trying to get that sorted out for the meals he's preparing, or just getting all the calories sorted for your day until that point, maybe that's the first step. Maybe you work on all that stuff first and then you have that conversation a little bit later, and that can be a new, the kind of next step.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that work as far as like next steps nutrition wise?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then everyone's probably not everyone's least favorite, because I think nutrition is probably everyone's least favorite. But let's talk about the mindset centered around like losing weight, right? Wait, do you have like a specific roadblock that you feel like you come back to a lot?
Uh when I get busy with work, I like the first thing that gets crossed off my to-do list is like, well, I don't have time for the gym today, or I don't have time to work out today. So let's just move that out of the way.
Okay. What has that always been the case?
Yeah, I am, and I'm a recovering workaholic. I used to like come home and like open up my laptop and do work till 8 p.m. Sometimes I would open up my laptop on the weekends, but I've been doing better.
Okay. Um, with the with the goals that you have, and keep in mind, this is more of just like a question for an explanation for people. This isn't me judging you. Like I work nonstop, so like I get it. So it's more. Really the question is more centered around, if you have these goals, like if you have these fitness goals in particular, what about them? Why do they get crossed off first?
I feel like um I guess like one, because being at the gym is like 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, I could get done with XYZ in that 45 minutes to an hour versus just going to the gym. Which, like, yeah, okay, fine. I could just like write out every single exercise I'm doing and then see how much like it is actually helping me.
Mhm.
Um, but then also, like, I think like being being praised for being a good worker and like getting all my stuff done on time and like being good at my job, like historically has been really motivating for me. And so it's been easy for me to be like, okay, well, no one's clapping for me going to the gym, 3 times a week, but I am getting promoted pretty quickly. I am getting a raise, or I am getting this bonus if I do XYZ right now. So let me go do that.
Yeah. No, those are very good points. I always like to come back to Dave Ramsey has something called the debt snowball, and basically all it means is for like you pay off the smallest amount of debt you have first, and then all it does is psychologically reinforce that you can do this, right? Like you pay off your smallest amount of debt, now you have a win. And then you go to the next one, you pay that one off, you got a win. And then finally, you've got this big snowball kind of rolling. I like to look at it the same way with fitness, only because you're right. Like when you don't get positively reinforced very quickly with fitness, which you won't. I mean, most people won't, or you'll get a positive reinforcement really early, and then you'll quote get stuck or plateau
Yeah.
or whatever for a little bit, which happens to everybody. And so I do like to have those small wins. So something we like to do with people is, especially if they're coming from not working out at all, is be like, hey, like let's set a goal for one day this week. Like let's work out one day this week, and then like maybe have a second one kind of in the back of your mind, like if you're feeling up to it and you have the time. But it's the difference in, hey, if I get 2 workouts in this week, I'm going above and beyond my goals, versus I'm going to set a plan for 2 workouts this week and then you miss one because you got busy or whatever. And now you're a failure. Like now you're failing at your goal.
Yeah.
When in reality, you had this same outcome. You got 1 workout in that week, but one was I'm going above and beyond, and one was I'm a failure. I can't do this. So I like to give people that same sort of like debt snowball ideology with their fitness. Like, let's set a really small, like really easy goal. Even like after we get off this call, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna be like, "What a silly thing! Like, what a silly goal to set."
Yeah.
Because I can definitely do 1 workout per week, or I can definitely track my food 2 days this week, or whatever it is. But it's exactly what you said. As soon as you start to hit those goals and get positively reinforced for doing the fitness that you want to do, it's exactly like you said. Like as soon as you start to get those like inner monologue applauses, or sometimes, I mean, publicly in our group or whatever, it's easier to stick to something.
Yeah.
Have you tried that with fitness, or is that a new way to look at it?
It's a slightly new way to look at it. Like, certainly being in the group has helped because like I've just been like, oh, like I actually did the workout and people are like congratulating me. I'm like, wow, this is great. It's kind of like in my line of work, like we help parents toilet train their kids, and it's
Right.
like, man, I wish I still got candy every time I use the bathroom. Like that sounds great. Like that's kind of what this is for me. It's like, oh wow, like I'm announcing that I worked out and people are like congratulating me. This is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit of that for me recently. Um, but yeah, I think, and then like I said, like with the challenge, like I learned that I actually do indeed have time to go to the gym 3 times a week, and so I'm like announcing when I went a fourth time, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool! Wow, good for you." So that's been helping out a bit.
Yeah, but you gotta having a real carrot to dangle,
Yeah,
in the group we give away Disney trips, and like in the next challenge we'll do monthly pins that people can
yeah,
win, which is awesome. We're really excited for that, because now everyone can get a carrot, for their little prize for accomplishing their consistency. Uh, but yeah, a lot of times it's just about finding those little things, and unfortunately, the candy kind of goes against the whole nutrition thing,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
We gotta find something a little different.
Yeah.
Uh, but mindset is hard. Like it's one of those things that is not the same for anybody. So some people are motivated a lot by pins, and some people are motivated a lot by the idea that they could win a Disney trip, and
Yeah.
some people aren't motivated by either one of those.
Yeah. Certainly having that Disney trip has definitely helped me. Even though I know, like, I'm not gonna win it. Like, I have less than 1,000,000 stats. I'm not gonna win it, but I'm not gonna give up. Like,
Yeah.
I've already made it this far. I might as well finish. So
Yeah, home stretch where we're basically done. So
yeah,
like, yeah, you might as well finish it out for 2
yeah,
weeks or whatever it is now.
yeah,
But for future challenges, thankfully, yeah. And by the way, if you listen to this, you don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, I'll link the group below. It's our Disney Adult Fitness Group, Magical Transformations. We got a lot of cool stuff, like we were just saying. But our next challenge that's starting in August, it's the end prizes are raffle based. So you don't have to take 1,000,000 steps to win. You could be, you could win one pin and still win, $1,000 towards your next trip or your flights or whatever. We'll do whatever the cash like equivalent is, but so that way it really is just more about building consistency and not taking 2,000,000 steps.
yeah,
But I think the bottom line on the mindset side is that it is very hard. And I for you or for anybody else, like I want you guys to know that if you haven't found the thing that really motivates you yet, like that's okay. Most people haven't found the thing that really motivates them. That's actually normal. It's abnormal to have found the thing that really motivates you, which is why it's so hard to like. It's why it's so hard for a lot of people to stick to goals that they have.
yeah.
That's totally normal. Now, to wrap up the mindset side, I suppose. What do you feel like is something that you're going to take from this to like put towards mindset and motivation, kind of going forward?
I guess just to keep using the group as my motivation, and like when things get hard, like at the very least, I can post in the group that I am not feeling the best, and then someone will motivate me to go to the gym either way.
Yeah,
Um, and even if I don't push my hardest, at least I'll get there.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, applicably for anybody else, it would just be, like it doesn't have to be Disney Adult Fitness Group. It'd be awesome if it was, but even if it's not, I mean, finding community and finding like a buddy or something that even when it sucks, like you guys can actually just bond over the fact that you hate it instead of getting into that internal dialogue in your head that it's not worth doing. And when I would say negative self-talk and well, yeah, really negative self-talk is the number one killer of goals. And self-talk is never easier than when you're alone and you're just trying, and you are just telling you how stupid this is and how it's not for you. You're not going to get there. But when you have a buddy or when you have a community that are all being like, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this," and you're like, "Oh, cool." Like I'm also really struggling with this. This sucks. And it just all makes it a little bit better, a little bit easier. But I like that mindset frame for you and for the group. And overall, like concluding this like call and everything, um, what do you feel like is maybe one or a couple things that you're gonna like really like kind of move with going forward?
Definitely slowing down my workouts, especially my upper body workouts.
Yeah.
And then talking to my husband about, I just need a measurement of the protein and what you're making. That's all I need. And then, yeah, just continuing to use my community.
Cool. No, that's awesome. And guys, I'll kind of throw a few things out there just for the end here. Like I said, the group is linked down below. Our annual plan is actually only like $16 a month right now, and you get a month of semi-private coaching with a personal trainer and a free group shirt. And we try to keep it as affordable as we can so that we can help as many of you guys as possible. But if you want to be the person on this call getting advice and talking through everything, you need to be a member of the group. So you can join from there. We do have a supplement sponsor, Legion. really great, clean supplements. We have huge savings on those. Use code Disneyfit at checkout. We'll link them down below as well. But Jennifer, thank you so much for joining and
Thank
letting us record this and talk to you for a little bit, and
you. Yeah.
we'll keep doing these.
Thank you.